What's happening, people? Back with another reaction. Back with the penultimate 12-inch mix on a compilation of rare 12-inch mixes sent by a great friend of the channel, Joseph. Big shout out to you. And I'm going to do the final two in the same batch. The second to last track is a Pet Shop Boys remix of a Madonna tune from 2005. So I haven't gotten to that point in my Madonna deep dive, but yes, obviously I am journeying through both Madonna's material and Pet Shop Boys material, so this is a nice synthesis of two deep dives I'm very fond of. And the track itself is called Sorry. So in that regard, of course, sorry is an apology. Now, there are some context or some tones in which the word sorry does not actually indicate an apology, but taking it at face value, one is inclined to think that there has been some transgression, some mistake, some imposition that the transgressor is now feeling apologetic for and would like to try to, at the very least, soothe over the offended party or maybe even offer some recompense. Now, again, that's just the essence of the single word title without any other context or narrative context. So yes, ultimately I don't quite know what to make of the title, and this is not a Madonna tune that I've already heard in original form. But Joseph's note in that last regard is that Madonna liked the PSB remix so much that she actually began using it on tour, so using it in the stead of her original version. In any case, let's give it a listen. This is a Pet Shop Boys remix of a Madonna track called Sorry. Like that little cowbell. Neil.
I'm sorry. Perdóname. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Sus piacenti. So sorry. Ik ben dovik. I'm sorry. Perdóname. Please forgive me. Sorry.
awesome. I knew it would be good given the dual source here, but it was even better than I expected. And okay, so number one, you can tell this is not an 80s or even a 90s dance remix. Just the sonics, the production qualities and techniques. It sounds post 2000. I love the range of electronic sounds. There's that low end electronic grit. The kick drum has a lot of thump to it. I like the explosive like clap, or maybe it's a snare, but it has a big pop to it for the every other beat. And the tune overall just has a lot of drive. It's moving. The pace, the tempo is quite fast, which, you know, as someone who listens to techno and trance of considerable pace, I am very fond of. I enjoy that we actually hear Neil's voice. And it was an interesting dynamic because the lead vocal, Madonna's vocal, is saying, and as soon as I heard that repetition, which came out of the background, it was more echoed, and then it got clearer and louder and clearer and louder till it was in the front of the track. But I've heard it all before, I immediately got a sense that, okay, there's a sorry here, but it's not coming from the narrator, it's coming from another person, and she's tired of it. It's, you know, never again is what you swore the time before. It's that kind of dynamic. And she's had enough. It's, you know, don't say you're sorry, don't explain yourself, I'm done with this. Your lies, they're too much. I've known them, you're clearly not changing. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna take over things for myself and by myself, and I'm just done listening to you. So, you know, save your sorries, they're not welcome here. But I like how Neil is still giving them, I'm sorry, please forgive me. So there's a bit of a dialogue, but, you know, he's trying to get one more time, he's trying to get, and what was it, the like, you stayed here because it's convenient. So it seems that like the narrator feels that she's been taken advantage of because she was willing to forgive, she was willing to, you know, hear him out and let him explain, and she's been burned by it so many times that she's just done now. And so she feels that, like, number one, he's been dishonest, he's been, you know, stuck in his ways, and despite saying he'll change or he really is contrite about what's happened, that, you know, she feels he's lingered here because she's enabled that. She's given him a platform to continually be dishonest and to transgress against this trust that they have, and so on. So I like the resolution of the lead vocal to say, you know, I'm done with this, I'm not listening anymore. And then so we have the like higher electronic synth work, which all of it feels cycling. Like there's a little electronic layer that's, you know, above that gritty bass line but still on the lower end. Then there's this higher sort of almost xylophone type melodic riff that is very notable. And yes, I like the build-ups, I like the drops. You know, there's a couple moments where you just feel it about to roll back around and then, you know, go back into the kicking drive. There's a couple sections where it strips down, it gets a bit more minimal or a bit more focused sonically before then going bigger again. And yes, ultimately, I think it is very, very well produced. A long one, I'm going to say like 9 minutes. It really felt like a long track, but not in a bad way. Almost like 8.5. So yeah, definitely a proper dance mix, you know, dance floor, long arc chronology, and, you know, very much like a dance remix, you know, going back to the 90s or 80s where there's that outro section where you can feel it's made for a DJ to begin mixing into the next tune, but still with some sonic features of the track on the way out the door, allowing for a nice, you know, double drop blend into the next tune. So yes, ultimately a very tasty track. I enjoy all the electronic aspects. I enjoy Madonna's vocals, I enjoy Neil's vocals. There might even have been like another male vocal, maybe that was just Neil. There's definitely some of that, like, I don't know if it's a vocoder, but it's like that digitization or like roboticization of the vocal at a couple points, so I enjoyed that as well. But yeah, just a foot tapping, you know, get on the dance floor, get your fist pumping kind of track. And the fact that it's a Pet Shop Boys remix and that Madonna enjoyed this so much that she played this version on tour, I'm very happy with that. And ultimately it makes sense, you know. It feels like this is the kind of remix where if you get it back, you're like, ooh, like, you know, this is great. I like this, you know, sort of taking the track in this dance floor direction, but to the point where she actually played it, on tour, I think is fantastic. So once again, shout out to Joseph, all the folks who've been following these 12-inch mixes. As I said, I'm going to do the last one in this same batch, which is a tune. I suppose I'll save it for the next reaction, but yes, it's a tune that brings to an end this compilation and is well timed for this month. So again, shout out to Joseph. Let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.